Incoming audio transmission. Something's happening, Tenno.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the WARFRAME Digest, episode 37. Today we'll be going over Devstream 55 and its relevant topics. So, what do we have this time? Well, let's get this started. I'm repeating myself. Oh, I love doing that. They talked about shotguns. Yes, shotguns, the oh-so great and oh-so lovely shotgun rework that were bound to come with the snipers at some point. They talked about the shotgun rework for once, and they're talking about some potential changes. They will be keeping their fallout. They will still have that fall-off range. I don't know why I said fallout. I'm hyped. Fall-off range. And what is going to happen is in the optimal ranges before the fall-off kicks in, they will be getting a buff. Some shotguns are going to get a 2x buff, some up to a 3x buff. It is still in practice. But what they are doing, when you're inside the optimal ranges, these shotguns should feel powerful and like a kick to the teeth. And the fall off should not be an absolute nullifier after a certain point where they just deal 0 damage because you're too far away. So the fall off now will have a minimum threshold of half of the base value of the weapon. So if you do 100 damage, the half value of the fallout, which will revolve around 50 instead of being a flat 0 because the target's too far away. So these changes are being tested on the dev build. Right now they're saying it is overwhelming, they are too strong, they're going to change some of the values, and we'll see where they go. But overall, this will make shotguns feel a lot more drastic, a lot more fair, and a lot more fun to play with down the road. So what else did they talk about? Squeaky chair. What else did they talk about? Mag's Greedy Pull. Mag's Greedy Pull has been so abundantly useful for some. It's being casted 4 times more often than the second skill in the list of all Warframe powers. So with that 4-time use difference, they've noted that Greedy Pull seems to be a little too greedy. So they will be changing it around, make it not so greedy but still equally as greedy, but not as drastically as greedy and overwhelming. They will balance it out, they will not nerf it, they will not remove it, they will not add a cooldown. They are finding a way of how to make this not as overwhelming, but keep that utility in the game still without it wrecking face as it is now. So enough with those things without some video footage. Let's talk about the first part of the video footage. Kubrow Armor. Kubrow Armor has been presented and wow, that looks pretty awesome. As you can see, this interesting Kubrow Armor comes in 2 different variances. I'm calling them Type A and Type B because we really don't have it names. Type A is the sharp and pointy one that looks like it's gonna ram you like a rhinoceros and it's gonna hurt. And then the Type B, which I say is a little bit more refined, more conservative, and a lot more elegant, to say the least. So, well, when are these coming in? Update 17. These look interesting. These actually look like they fit the Kubrows naturally, and they will not affect any stats. This is purely cosmetic, and they're thinking about allowing maybe augments to apply to them to benefit the Kubrow. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know. This is just something that they dabbled on for like 2 seconds. So, that's about it. And as you can see between the Kubrow shots, they did show off what seems to be something iffy. You'll see this throughout the rest of it, so we'll show you images throughout the video. But they did show off the new cape, the new Grineer-styled cape, the first of many capes, hopefully. And I won't talk about it much because you'll see it throughout the video. They did talk about the new physics being implemented a little bit more. People want it more and more actively involved in the game. They have said that Yin Yang will have it by default on its model, so we'll see how that looks. Maybe it looks pretty. And talking about models, when are some of the other Warframes getting a PBR look? Some of them are getting it really soon, and some of those PBR looks are not just changing the textures, but they will be changing the meshes, the actual model itself, making massive changes to the lobster tails and some coats. So yes, Trinity's PBR change will come with the lobster update. So, what else did they show aside from just teasing at the lobster update? They showed off the turret. They showed off a small turret segment. The turrets are being implemented into the game currently in a small little idea. They are thinking about adding this in its own little game mode, which seems to be a turret defense style situation where you sit on a generic turret and shoot at generic enemies running at you. So no idea when this is going to get implemented or how. It is a very interesting little gimmicky idea, and those deployable covers are airbag covers apparently, so they will deflate, which is pretty hysterical for the Grenier, but oh well. So what else did they show off? They showed off Parkour 2.0 yet again, but this time it really looks ambitious. This is the complete overwork of the live demonstration of 2.0 compared to last. I'm just confusing you. This is the new 2.0, and this is a 2.0 that I feel deserves a 2.0 name. Currently, you can see Rebecca playing it around in the Tower Void. She's playing it on a survival key, and currently no enemies have spawned. She's just bouncing around. Let's skip a little. This is a larger area, and you can see how it actually flows, how it moves, how it just looks so drastically different from what we know. Currently, I feel as if this is a very drastic and well-needed improvement that the game has required. It's very hard to say and back this up with the video footage looking like this, so let's switch to some pre-rendered, let's switch to some pre-captured footage from an earlier session that was edited up a little. As you can see, this is a lot more drastic of a change. You can see that she's bouncing around, she's jumping all over the place, she's scaling vertically. You can see that the actual wall run is no longer in the game. Wall running is completely gone, but you will be able to latch onto walls and hop off of them over and over and over again, which adds so much more free range to the game overall. And you can see her bouncing off the enemies, you can do little flips and this and that. It is a drastic change. Mechanically, this is a lot more of a game changer than you can see visually, so talking about it is very hard to convey the fact that what we have learned and what we have as muscle memory will no longer be valid with this new system from what they have explained. And this is a welcome change, this is a drastic change, and I welcome it with open arms. I just can't wait to get it and play with it myself, because playing with it ourselves will we actually get a full understanding of this new mechanic. And talking about new mechanics, the Golem trial was hinted at us a little in the final stages, in the final arena preview of the Golem. They have talked about two different segments for the Golem. The exterior segment, which one team will have to fight and just keep the Golem busy, doing some external damage, as a couple of other Tenno fly into the innards through these little ventilation systems into the inside components of the Golem and destroy it from within. The inner parts are timed. You will be limited on how much time you have in there, and eventually you will be kicked out. So it is all about getting your fastest and most efficient Arcwing flyers in there to do as much damage. This is another trial that emphasizes heavily on mass cooperation, and I wonder what the loot for this one will be. Will it be from the same table, or will it be completely its own table with some very drastic and very overwhelming payouts? They have said this will have some Arcwing and Unfoot components to it, so we'll see. It will have a very mixed component variancy, and I'm interested to see that. So let's close this off with three very interesting high notes, and I do mean ridiculously interesting high notes. First off, we have Steve St. Clair here. I wanted to say his last name. We have Steve showing off what he shows and dubs his version of the parkour system. But wait, what's this? There's a twist! There's a spin! And a lot of spinning and spinning and spinning. What is this? This is a new star chart. The new star chart is being presented to us, and it looks phenomenal. I have to say that at the very least. This is a drastic change. This is very retroactive. It feels like Star Chart 1. Personally, it is a lot more personal. It is a lot more in your face. Those are not the final images for the 5 quadrants. Those are all placeholder. Each one of the 4 corners will be represented by a different polarity clan that has been implemented into the game as a style of lore. So this will have a lot more lore integration, and it will flow naturally from the center outward to the top right in a counterclockwise fashion for different players, or for new players. So this is very interesting. I'm very curious how the mission selection will work from this. They didn't show anything else besides the actual star chart. So, open arms. And second high point, they showed off the Frost power rework. Last time I said take it with a grain of salt. That grain of salt has been turned into pure crystal, because you can see that this is genuinely what they have said to some degree. And I say some degree because I don't know if they have dabbled back and forth. Oh well, let's stop dabbling. The first power you can see, you'll see these all randomly. They're very well mixed. The first power you can see, it hits on the ground, it leaves a patch of ice, it will slow the enemies that come across that patch of ice, and if it hits the enemies directly, they will come to complete freeze, they will be frozen solid, and you could shatter them, pretty much killing them, doing extra damage upon impact. The second ability has been changed into a cone of fire. Currently it is a little visually overwhelming, and they will tone it down. This cone of fire is a lot more drastic. It makes the power a lot more useful and a lot more viable, and can't wait to play with it myself. The third ability, Snow Globe, has been changed. There is a 4 casting limit that has been shown here, and enemies that are inside the Snow Globe upon cast will be forcibly ejected, frozen, and they will be affected by gravity upon being frozen, and they will shatter upon hitting the ground. So that is really interesting overall. And any new enemies that come in will be affected by the slow naturally, like they've always been. And last but not least, Avalanche. Currently these enemies are too low level to show off the rest, but they will be insta-frozen like always, and they will be receiving a heavy amount of damage. If they live, if they manage to survive Avalanche, which they will in late games, their armor values will be cut in half, making them squishier and easier targets. So this is very interesting. They also have said that Frost is getting a passive due to his element type. When he melee strikes an enemy, he has a chance of freezing them without having a mod attached to it, and if enemies strike him, they have a chance of being frozen right back at him. But they have to strike him with melee, which is the one key thing. So this is very interesting, and hopefully this is the first of some passive updates that these elemental warframes will get. I can't wait to see that applied to other warframes like Ember, like Vault, like Siren, and like some of the other that are of mixed element types. And last but not least, the Nexus app. They showed it live on the tablet, and this is very interesting. It is very pretty. It is literally what they said previously. The Nexus app will now be an extension of the Lisette, and you can actually craft, manage, arrange your equipment, and place your extractors, among many other things. Even play a little bit of Kubrow Tamagotchi, which seems to be a very good joke. Hopefully that stays in the game to some degree. And overall, this makes the Nexus app a lot more relevant and a lot more useful. You will have to be signed in through your standard username and account information to access this, and you will be allowed to be signed in both locations via your phone and the game in order to use this app while in missions to manage and create other things in your foundry while you're off killing things in the abyss. So that pretty much does it for Digest 37, and yeah, tell me, what are you guys excited for? Which of these things have the most hype for you and you really want to get in your hands as soon as possible, as soon as they're polished that is, and play with and just have mad fun with? Leave all that in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. And remember, Tenno, see you in game.
Wake up, Tenno.